Greetings, this is Artie from Artifact Electronics. So the other day I made my pilgrimage to the thrift store hoping to find a scope or logic analyzer or PDP computer, but didn't find anything like that. But I did find this, and it kind of surprised me because anything music related usually flies out the door. This is a Boss Distortion guitar distortion pedal, model DS1, and it does just as the name implies, it distorts the sound for that crunchy guitar tone. So the way I found this was usually when I'm at a thrift store, I looked around, I couldn't find anything, and I didn't want it to be a wasted trip, and on my way out I checked the toy section because that's where I generally find chess computers and the like. But nothing. But this was lying in the middle of the of assorted plastic toys and little cheapo handheld games. I guess that's why nobody found it, but I did, and it didn't have a price on it, even though it does suspiciously look like there was a price on it at one point in time, but somebody removed it. Why? I don't know, because maybe they took the price tag off and then carried it to the front of the store and said, I'll give you $1 for it, and they ejected him from the store or whatever. But anyway, so I took it, and it always is a big deal at this store when there's no price tag on it. Everybody's suspicious of you and checks you bodily to see if you have remainders of the sticker still on you. But long story short, they didn't really know what it was, and I think I got it for $3 or $4. So let's see what we can do with this, if it works at all. So the way it works is it's got an LED on it right over here. It's not a power LED, but rather when the pedal is switched on, that is supposed to light up. It can be driven by both a battery and or an external DC supply. And I don't even know if there's a battery in here, but this should activate it, and this should disable it. And obviously the LED isn't coming on, so first point of suspicion is, of course, is there a battery in it? And if there is it any good? So let's see if I remember this correctly. I think the battery, the back plate is screwed in, so the battery, I think, is under here. This is, of course, the pedal action. So what you do is you move the thumb screw, or loosen it. The pedal pops up, and there's your battery. There is a battery, but no Energizer Bunny. Looks like that wasn't connected right, but let's test it. It has an expiration date of 2010, so this battery was probably put in the mid-2000s, but let's check it anyway. It does say that there's 8.26 volts in there. But, well, let's see if we plug it in correctly, if we can get the LED to light. No, we can't. So let me see if I have a that voltage should be high enough to light up the LED. This thing is all analog, but I do have a battery. It's a high-end Sunbeam battery, the type the dollar store sells. Well, see, it's 9.114, so it's not that much higher, but let's try it anyway. Nope. So it also takes a DC input, and on the back it tells us, let's see, it wants 9 volts DC with the sleeve positive. Is that right? Yeah. Now, whenever you use a power adapter, don't just plug it in, don't trust what it says on the power adapter, but actually check it. So we do want a sleeve positive, put the ground probe in the middle, and yes, it is proper voltage and proper polarity. So now it's got power. And it still doesn't work. Well, what do you expect for a few dollars, right? So the surprising thing about this is I was actually able to get a service manual for it. There's a 6-page service manual freely available online. And if we look at this in a way where you can actually see something, what I noticed was, and I should have remembered this because I've run into this before, but here's the audio input, which is this plug over here that says input, the 1/4-inch plug, and it looks like if there's nothing inserted in here, power is cut. So no matter what kind of power you have over here, there's no power getting to the circuitry. So how do we test that? Let's we know we have a good battery in there, so let's just plug a wire in. I think it's a mechanical action, so it doesn't really care whether there's a signal coming in or not, but this should mechanically enable the power, and it does. So was one of the reasons this got thrown out because somebody just kept checking it and it wasn't working? Because the battery in there was good, even though when I took it out it looked like it wasn't properly connected. So let's see if the original battery actually makes it run. And it does. I mean, the voltage is a bit low, so I'm not going to use it because it may skew the tests, but that battery still has life in it with an expiration date of 2010. What that proves to us is that the power control mechanism in this works really well. So as long as there was nothing plugged into this thing, battery drain was 0, and this battery survived. But I'll put in a new battery, which has an expiration date, can you see that, of 7/2020. Very much doubt that these would last as long as the Energizers, but I'm going to put this battery in, and then we're going to look at the service manual, which gives us a simple test to see what's giving us, and here it is. It's telling us what to put in and what to expect at the output. Now, one curious thing I noticed immediately is in the input column, and yeah, I know I'm getting old, my eyesight isn't that good, but to me it looks like it's saying 200 hertz, okay, at 100 volts peak to peak. And try as I'd like, there is no misplaced decimal in there. I'm sure that's supposed to say 1.00, but I can't see it in there. Now, if you look at the actual trace, that you should be seeing, you got 0.2 volts per division. So yeah, that's a 1 volt signal that they're looking for. But how many people actually read that and took it literally? I shudder to think. My impressive array of state-of-the-art test instruments have been powered on and given plenty of time to stabilize and warm up. So we have 200 hertz coming out of here, if that's what it wants. I mean, normally they use 1 kilohertz, but hey, the service manual says 200 hertz. So let's see what that looks like. And it looks like nothing. Hello? All right. So let's set it up for what they recommend, which is 1 milliseconds per division, which is here, and 0.2. Well, that's not going to work. Okay, so there's our input. So now we need to take our input and run it into the pedal. And what we'll do for that is, wait a minute, how did I do this? I had this all figured out. Oh, okay, so all right, now we need to take the output and put it into the scope. How do we do that? Oh, I need a 1/4 inch to the BNC. I am ill prepared. Give me a minute to find the appropriate cables. Okay, I solved it. I got it all hooked up together, and it's turned off. So obviously this pedal has a true bypass switch in it, because as you can see, it's not touching the input signal at all. Look what it's doing to the square wave. But after all, it is a distortion pedal, so that's what it does to square waves. I'm kind of surprised they're not telling you to use a sine. So see, the sine actually gets through really nicely, but how about a triangle? That also does, but it doesn't like square waves. Or maybe it's the scope. No, the scope showed it correctly. So anyway, that's what they prescribe. It's a 200 hertz square wave. So now let's set up the buttons. So basically, tone all the way clockwise, distortion all the way counterclockwise, and the level at full blast. So now we turn on the pedal. This is what we're supposed to see. Yeah, kind of looks like it. That's pretty close, actually. I'm showing a single cycle on the scope, and it's showing 2 cycles here. So let's see if I can just put 2 cycles on the screen. Yeah, kind of. And again, close enough. So that part works. So for the second part, let's see. The tone goes to 0 counterclockwise. Distortion is off. And the level is at full blast. And we get this animal. And this is what we're expecting. It actually looks more like the bottom waveform than that one. Oh, that's because no, it's set up right. But there you go. And then the third one, you just crank the distortion up all the way. And then it's supposed to be this. Considering the quality of the test instruments, I think the visual test or the electrical test tells us that it's working, but the true test of any kind of a musical effects pedal is, what does it sound like? But oh, not so fast. Let's first have a look inside. The controls are going to need to be squirted. And let's just see what it looks like inside. Not much. We've already had a quick look at the schematics. It's entirely analog. But I need to open it up, clean up the case, get rid of the removed price sticker evidence here. No, I didn't do it. I doubt, I don't understand this, why people do this, because this kind of stuff is usually really, really cheap. And it is a charity store, so, have a heart and give them what they're asking for, but no. Okay, so here we see the underneath. Probably have to take the pots out. Let's see, do these have set screws? No, doesn't look like it, so okay. So now we need a, what is it, a 10? Nope. An 11. Okay, what's holding it in? Oh, I guess there's a little subboard that's holding the LED in place. LED. I wonder how this would look with a blue LED instead of a red. I mean, we got to do something to this. I mean, there's things to be done. These caps are kind of old. The electrolytics have to go. Got to put new metal film caps in here. But I need to make a list of all the caps required, which isn't that hard because I have the schematics. But it's kind of late at night or early in the morning, depending on how you look at it, and I'm not going to get to that just now. Let's just see if we can get to the pot. And there's still something holding it in. Oh, the 1/4 inch jacks. access to the pots. Well, this one is sealed. Not much we can do there. But the other two, we can give a quick squirt. So what do you say? Shall we replace the LED? It's kind of dim. It's a musical instrument. You're on stage at night. You want it to be bright, so why the hell not? Let's squirt these and put a blue LED in. Okay, it's squirting time. Let's see. Already turns so much smoother. Well, this one is smooth, but it really doesn't matter because it's sealed, so we can't get to it. And this one also is pretty smooth still. Okay, so that we'll let this drip dry. Now, as far as the LED is concerned, this thing's pretty weak. I mean, let's see, I gotta plug into the input jack to enable power. Even shining directly into the camera, it's pretty weak, so let's get a blue LED. Here's our LED. It's the right same size, but one thing we need to do first is the PCB isn't marked as to positive and minus. And the way we determine that is if we look at the LED, we can see that the flattened part is up here, the green wire. So we'll mark that as minus if the damn pen decides to. Alright, just remember it's the green wire there. Green, green, green. Okay, if I forget in 2 seconds, I can always look at the video footage. And they got a handy spacer installed, so you don't have to worry about how far off board you have to mount the LED. Ow! So it's desoldering the wire, but not the LED. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can't see. Maybe now you can see. Yeah, it's not that exciting to watch desoldering anyway. Okay. This thing is trying to hide. This comes out, and we pull the spacer, and we put it on top of the blue LED. The short lead is the cathode, and the cathode goes to the green wire. So let's just bend the leads a little bit, solder one of the connections, and then we can heat up the solder connection and straighten out the LED. Oh, it's a one-sided board. Oh, that's interesting. Well, yeah, I know. Being an idiot. There. That's much better. Okay. That's pretty straight, but if we heat up this joint, and just push on top of it so it sits flush, and that'll make it straight. Okay. We solder the other side. Heat this one up one more time. And let's see what it looks like. Okay. Let's enable power by plugging in something. And nothing. Did I manage to put these in the wrong way? No, it's actually correct. The flat parts here is at the green wire. Okay, let's try something else here. Why is this stupid thing not lighting up? All right, out it comes. All right, the story of my life. One of these traces wasn't connecting properly. I had to make sure that the solder bridged between the wire and the pin on the LED. Okay, well, so now that's in, and ta-da! We have a blue and bright LED. No applause, and let me button the whole thing up, and maybe then we'll get to the sound test. Now, one slight detail I forgot to mention is that I don't play guitar. I won't even try anymore. I think in a previous life I was able to play the main riff of Jethro Tull's Locomotive Breath, but that even the muscle memory is gone, so I'm not even going to attempt to do that. The keyboard is really not the best thing to demonstrate a guitar distortion pedal with, but I think it will. I think it's good enough to show you what the difference is. So first, undistorted sounds like this. Nice smooth organy tone, not very exciting, but let's kick in the distortion. And I don't know if you can hear it, but the noise floor just jumped way up. But here's what it sounds like. So you can still clearly recognize what's going on, but the sound becomes much more aggressive and was used to good effect in groups like Deep Purple or Uriah Heep to compete with the guitar, which usually drowned out the keyboards. So if we play something with a little more polyphony, the difference becomes much more apparent. Of course, we can adjust everything to make it distort a little bit less. So that's how the distorted organ sound is arrived at. It sounds a lot better through a Leslie speaker, but there you go. There's our $3 or $4 distortion pedal. That works great. And whenever I'm in the mood for Deep Purple, I guess that'll be a tool to get me a little closer to that goal. So this basically uses transistor distortion, or it just saturates a transistor, which gives you very abrupt distortion, which colors the sound a lot. And for playing at very low polyphony or leads, it works, it cuts through the rest of the mix, but when you're playing grander things, it does tend to make some of the music so noisy that sometimes it becomes unrecognizable. I mean, the right thing for keyboards to do is to use pure tube distortion. So if you have an amp like a Leslie that has only tubes in it, it has much less abrupt saturation effects, and it doesn't just saturate by chopping off the top and bottom of the incoming waveform, but does it more gradually and sounds better. I wish I could demonstrate it, but my Hammond organ is gone, and so is my Leslie. So you're going to have to listen to some music that demonstrates that. And as I mentioned before, things like Deep Purple, which uses a really harsh effect, followed by a little bit less harsh in Uriah Heep, and again less harsh in Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and on the list goes. But I hope you enjoyed this. Click all the right buttons and make sure to subscribe. And we'll see you next time.